Well, some of you guys remember this giant vac from last fall. I got it with a blown rod. Well, I put it back together and started it up last fall and ran it for like 2 minutes, and I just thought it didn't sound right, so I turned it off. And I never really alluded to that in the video because I didn't want people to think I screwed it up. But let me show you what the problem is. So when I was done putting it together, I came in the garage after I ran it for 2 minutes, and I found some boxes that I was going to throw out that were from the parts that I put in it. And I found this little doohickey. This is the dipper for the connecting rod. And I remember when I was putting it together, I'm so used to working on Kohler engines where the dipper is built into the rod cap. I was thinking like, well, what the heck? This thing's a piece of crap. There's not even a dipper. How does it even work? Well, the dipper was in the bottom of the box, and I never noticed it until I went to throw it out, and it fell on the floor. It's a good thing it fell on the floor because I probably would have blown this rod too. And some guy put a comment on the video about how could you put that whole thing together and not put new rings in it? So I got a set of rings also. So we got to tear this whole damn thing apart again and put them together. It shouldn't be that hard. So to take it apart, I basically have to take the handlebars off, and I have to take the front cover of the fan off, and then take the fan off the crankshaft again. I think I got to take the gas tank off the engine. It's kind of a pain in the balls. A lot of stuff to take apart. And the reason is that in order to get to the connecting rod, you got to take the front off the case over here, which is right against the fan housing. So I'm not going to film all that. I'm just going to do it, and we'll film when we take it apart again. But I won't film getting the motor off the machine this time. Well, we got the motor off. There's no problem. It only took about 15 minutes. Luckily, I put Never-Seez on all the fan bolts, so it came right off. I'm going to drain the oil out of it real quick. Let's see. See how much I can spill on the floor here. I figured that I'd just drain it out and put it right back in. It's only got 2 minutes of runtime on it. Yeah. I don't really have to get it all out because I'm only going to take the cover of the case off for a minute. It's not going to be any big deal. So I got to take the head off too, so I can fit those new rings. Got some tunes brewing tonight. It's really windy out, and almost every leaf in my yard came down over the last 2 days. So I figured I might as well fix this thing tonight, because otherwise I'm never going to use it until next year probably. Been using that 8-horse Kohler giant vac, which works awesome, but I kind of wanted to use this one too. You know how that is, guys. Okay, let's put that in a safe spot so we don't spill it. And now we'll take the head off, I guess. Let's see. Still got my air gun over here. I'll zip them right off. These other bolts have studs on them, so they're not going to come off as easy. I got to take the fan shroud off too, probably. I'll loosen the bolts off the case here too as long as I'm in here. Only a couple bolts on the case here. Right, we're ready to roll. So, I'll take these other ones off manually with a wrench because I guess I could get a deep socket, but it's only like 2 of them, so it ain't a big deal. Take the spark plug wire off. Gotta take the muffler off the head too, I remember that. Kind of a pain in the balls. Not that it's complicated, there's just a lot of crap that's in the way to get it apart. Those 2 bolts have the gas tank go on it, and this one mounts onto the fan housing in the front. This takes a little, like a 3/8, so I got to get a different wrench. Okay, get the 3/8 for the muffler bolt. Oh, it's not a 3/8, it's a 7/16, but these are 3/8. I'm sure those got to come off. Yeah, they're in the head, so they got to come off. I put Never Seas in this when I put it together last fall. Take the muffler off. I bend these tabs out of the way of the bolts. It's no big deal. 2 bolts on the muffler, that's off. Okay, put this back in the head so I don't lose it. Let's see, get this whole assembly here off. Alright, there's that. You should be able to take the whole head right off now. Alright, yeah. Go. Oh fuck, the head gasket's a piece of shit. One of these new head gaskets, they're really pieces of crap, so whatever. Alright, so we'll take that off. Now, we gotta pop the key out of the crankshaft. Okay, key out. Let's see. Yeah, that new head gasket broken right in half. These things are junk these days. Alright, so we're basically going to pull this right over that shaft. Just going to clean it off a hair. Make sure all these bolts are loose. They are. There we go. Not bad, huh? So, I basically just got to pop this rod off this thing. Get these two bolts off, pop the rod out, put my new rings on it, drop it back in with the dipper this time, and we'll call it a day. So I'm going to get to it. Luckily this gasket didn't break when I took it apart. That's another plus, huh? But yeah, this shouldn't be too bad. Alright, we got the rod cap loose. Take that off. Now we're going to just turn this crank so the piston goes up. And unhook the rod. There we go. I'll push the piston right out the top. Whoa! I didn't think it was going to come out that easy. Oh, the rod's fine. I was concerned that it got broken from the little bit of use that it had. So we're just going to pull off these old rings and drop on the new rings. And we should be in good shape here, boys. Yeah. Yeah, it should be good. This was the original piston that was in there. I didn't replace that. It's got a little bit of score on the side, but there's nothing that I'm worried about. So we'll just swap the rings and we'll be good to go. Got some brand new rings here. I'm going to put them in the bore here and try to see if they're the proper size. Yeah, we're good. Briggs specs are so much crappier than Kohler specs. And Kohler specs tell you a minimum and maximum ring gap, and the Briggs specs just tell you the maximum, which is 35 thousandths, which is completely ridiculous. So I don't know why there'd be any ring that's 35 thousandths. Completely ridiculous. I mean, usually like 8 to 12 thousandths for a gap, but this just tells you the max gap is 35. Maybe they figure that they've got some precision manufacturing, that they're never too small. But yeah, so I'm gonna put these on that piston and slap it back together, and we'll see what happens, you know.